folks. Welcome to our first session for 2021. We're so excited you guys decided to join us. Next time, come out in person and join us because we do gather in person as well to go over our topics, and we also do fun activities just to bring home what we've learned and things that have encouraged us throughout today. So come out and join us next time, but we're excited that you're here. So today we're going to be talking about relinquishing and just accepting who we are, how to build those core strategies and a strong foundation for just healthy self-esteem and healthy self-confidence. Just those mind strategies that we need to work on to be able to encourage ourselves throughout life. You know, we face a lot of adversities in life, whether it's disappointment, setbacks, fatigue, burnout, loss, just hurt and pain. Things that just come against us and make us doubt ourselves and make us wonder if we're worthy, or make us doubt our abilities to do good in the world and to be good in the world. So we're so excited that you're here. So we're going to dive right in. We got some good topics. We got some good points for you on the subject. And we hope that you will leave us a comment. So before we get started, I'm just going to do a brief introduction of who we are. I'm Jennifer Taylor. I'm one of the founders of You Girl Incorporated, and this is...
I'm Jasmine Patterson. I'm also a founder of You Girl Incorporated.
And what we do here at You Girl Incorporated actually stands for Unique, Gifted, Intelligent, Respected Leaders. We work alongside girls from ages 11 through 18, just on all aspects of life. We focus on the whole aspect of the young girl's life, from spiritual to mental and physical health to conflict resolution, the growth mindset. We're never too old or too young to learn new skills and talents and to build on those, and then to expand different areas, life skills, and also just different and an encouragement circle. We support one another. We do life together. So it's an exciting thing when you would have just a good group of friends and a healthy sisterhood to help you when you need help and to be with you in good times and bad times. So that's some of the things that we do here. We would love for you to join. You can go to www.yougirlincorporated.org and just fill out one of the new member applications, and we will reach out to you. So we would love for you to join. All right. So we're talking about building a healthy foundation, what that looks like, how do we even start that process, and how this can actually help us long term. So, James, you want to get us started?
So yes, we're focusing on, as she said, building a healthy foundation. But first, we start off with relinquishing and accepting your truth. So what does that mean? Every time we're entering into something, we have to really be honest. We have to dive deep and dig deep within ourselves. So we have to really, really focus on what do we need in order to get to those processes. But the first thing we have to do the dirty work. We have to go deep within us. And a lot of times we only want to talk about things and go through the process at surface level. As we get into 2023, we've been through past 2 years, we've been through a whole pandemic. Mm-hmm. We've dodged a lot of bullets. Some people have endured a lot, but the main thing we have not done is dug deep in what these things have done to us and how are we still coping and getting through these things.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So with that, when we go into getting our boundaries and getting to the gist of what we need to figure out what do we need to remove. Mm-hmm. So starting out with what we need to remove, I hope I quote this gentleman's name is correct, but it's Jorel Caravallo. And I follow one of his podcasts with Therapy for Black Girls. And they talked about doing the shadow work. So what is the shadow work? So the shadow work is when you go in and you're going deep and you're addressing the traumas, the innermost thoughts, feelings. Why do you feel the way you feel? Your self-esteem. You're really addressing yourself at your root, as we learned that the root, in order to fix a problem, you have to go to the root, where it started. Mm-hmm. So further into this podcast, he talked about, not only just acknowledging those feelings, but accepting them. You feel how you feel, and you've experienced how you feel. So we're not asking you to totally to remove the experience. We're asking you to allow them out, address them, and see what do you need to do in order to get past those or to accept what you've been through. Mm-hmm. So doing the shadow work, yes, like I said, we want to discuss why you struggle with those things. So we know that now we've addressed those feelings. We've let the trauma out. We've let those innermost thoughts and feelings and our feelings of self-insecurity or the trauma. Why do we feel those ways? what has brought us to feel this way to make it feel less of us or we feel good about it. What is it that we need to address with that?
Yeah, that's a good point.
So yes, and then what steps do you need to take in order to put yourself in a comfortable place, in a safe space to discuss those things? So it's easy for us to say, well, if you feel insecure because you feel like you're not pretty as a next girl, why do you feel like that?
Yeah.
But when we're addressing our feelings, we need to make sure that we're emotionally and we're available to be vulnerable in a place that we're ready to address those things. And I feel like that was a really key point in your podcast. It was like when you're getting ready to dive deep into those emotions and that trauma, you need to make sure that you're in a place to where you're willing and you're open to discuss them. Because a lot of times we go to therapy, we ask for our adult mentors to give us advice, but we only want to hear the advice at the level that we can comprehend or we can accept in that moment. So when you're letting out this trauma, you're letting out these innermost thoughts, feelings, insecurity, whatever it is, make sure that you are in a safe space within yourself, that you're ready to be comfortable and vulnerable. Because when you're doing the shadow work, not only are you letting them out, now we're actually going to create an active plan to get past them. So let it out, be prepared. But if you're going into that therapy session with a licensed counselor or therapist, or you're going in to speak to your adult mentor, whether it's your coach or whoever it is, be ready to let your feelings out, but also be willing to accept the feedback and the necessary steps that are going to come with it. Absolutely. Because it's tough, but in that midst, it is a beautiful moment. But if you're not in a comfortable space, it's like hitting a brick wall.
Yeah.
And you don't want to feel like, oh, I let myself vulnerable, but I also lack a little bit of accountability because I wanted to let my feelings out, but I also didn't want to accept the reality of what I needed to get past that trauma. It's easy to be like, well, I just want to vent. Now, if you just want to vent, that's great. That's awesome. But you need to establish that today I just need to vent. I just need someone to hear me versus today I want to actively release and talk about my traumas, and I want to actively address them. And I want to actively take the feedback that's going to be necessary for me to allow these things out and to address them accordingly. So it's really, really important. So I really love that.
But yeah, you got to really dive deep and be willing to be vulnerable and honest with yourself. It could be things like rejection. Did you experience rejection when you were a child? Maybe it was from your friend circle or your parents. No one really told you they loved you or that you were pretty. You've seen other girls experience this. So you lived in a state of rejection. You really got to be open to that. Or just comparison. A lot of times, girls, we get caught up in comparing ourselves. Look, we're not meant to be the same. You're not meant to look like or be like anyone else. So when we get to the point where we can just openly accept who we are and not take anything away from anyone else, there's a state of freedom in that. Mm-hmm. So you got to be honest with yourself. Am I constantly comparing myself to others? That's why I constantly feel like I'm not good enough or I don't measure up. So we got to be honest with ourselves about that. And then also, are you in the state where you always need approval from others to validate how you feel about yourself? It's good when we get honest and open feedback from people who care about us, but they don't validate our self-worth. That was done with our Creator. When God created us, He said that it was good. And God created you in His image. You don't need anyone to validate that you're special, that you're beautiful, that you have purpose. Yes. That's already given. You don't need anyone to validate that for yourself. And then don't make people's opinion about you a fact. Okay?
Yes.
People have opinions, and people's opinions are based on how they feel about themselves and their experiences at the time. People's opinions are faulty. That does not make them fact. It's one thing to get good constructive criticism, but it's another thing to take someone's simple opinion of you that makes you feel not good about yourself. So don't make those facts in your lives into that's what you live your life by, what other people say about you, because that's when I think we become locked in a cage. And listen, you may be taking advice from somebody who don't even feel good about themselves. Yes. So you got to be very careful about that. So those are absolutely good points.
Yes. And my last one before I hand it over to Jennifer is with that, in the trauma, do not become your trauma. I think when you're exposing all of these feelings, the trauma is the most important part because many times our trauma is our life. At some point, our trauma is a reflection of what we've become, how we handle situations, how we deal with relationships. You have to really address that trauma at the core. And your trauma is your trauma. Don't let anybody minimize your trauma or make it more than what it was. Your trauma is your trauma, but experience it, discuss it, let it out. but utilize that trauma as a, I don't want to say as a building bridge, but depending on what it is, use it as a, like, if I can get through this, I've come through this, I can get through anything. But let the trauma out and really, really just, because trauma is a huge thing, especially affecting our kids. Honestly, right now, like I said, when we're checking the news and we're reading news, we see a lot of male and female teenage kids between the ages of between 15 to 20 are that are involved in a lot of high crime in our area, and it's really, really sad, and it makes us question, like, do we have enough resources? What is going on that our kids are getting into so much? So like I said, it could easily be something that's tied back to trauma, but again, we relinquish the trauma. We do not stay in it, because a lot of times when we stay there, we get into these things to where we're involved into crime, into this path of life that God did not design for us. So yes. And the last thing is to expose your gifts. So in the midst of all this insecurity, this trauma, those gifts are hidden because we're packing them back because we don't feel sufficient. We're like, no, I'm gonna put that back there. Like they don't want that, because this is all I have to give. This is I'm gonna give you the bare bone, because my gift is overshadowed by my trauma. It's overshadowed by my insecurity. But no, in the midst of all of that, it's time to expose those gifts. Let those gifts out. So now that we're doing the healthy couple mechanism, we're talking to licensed counselors, therapists, or we're talking to a really sound in mind, a mentor, an adult. We expose those gifts, because in those gifts we are starting to get to the building blocks of really, really who we are. Mm-hmm. So yes, expose those gifts. So Jennifer, what do you have for us?
So really we really just talked about things we need to remove. Those thoughts that really prevent us from being the best version of ourselves. So one, we got to understand what those thoughts are. We got to understand how to remove those thoughts. You talk about building a healthy foundation. You have to replace those negative thoughts with solid truth in your life. And what is that solid truth? What do you get it from? So what we believe is typically what we become. We act according to what we believe. Yes. So we want to make sure we remove those things, those thoughts, those negative thoughts that when we criticize ourselves, or where we hide in the background because we don't believe in ourselves, or those thoughts where we consistently just go in on ourselves, and it just pushes us further and further down into a hole. So we want to relinquish those things, and then we want to move forward and start building a very solid and healthy foundation. So when those things come back up in our mind, we have something powerful to fight it with. Okay, we have something powerful that's not going to let those things continue to take root. We're getting rid of all the bad seeds and we're putting in good seeds that's going to bear good fruit in our mind. So now we need to start thinking about, what do we need to add to our daily routines, to our lives, to our thought process? What things do we need to add to prevent those thoughts from reoccurring and from us going into a state where we just don't feel good about us, or we are consistently being hard on ourselves? So the first thing we need to add is we need to add some good solid truth. And where do you get your truth from? So, and I believe in the truth of the Word of God. I believe that that's where it begins for us. When we start believing that God created us in His image, that He's loved us, that we're fearfully and wonderfully made, that we're unique, that we're a royal priesthood, that we have forgiveness in Jesus Christ. That's where we can start beginning to build that healthy mindset. That's something that can't be moved by what nobody says about you, okay? Because once God says it, that's it. Nobody else. Who gonna say something else? You know? So we want to start putting solid truths. You have to start speaking those truths in your life. You have to start telling yourself you're beautiful. Look, put on your favorite outfit and you go out the door. And you don't need anyone else to confirm it's cute, because look, you already cute, okay? And so it starts there, actually believing in ourselves. Study before a test, because you can pass the test. Be prepared when you go to school. Don't just show up because you're intelligent. You're planning to go to college. You have good plans that are planned for your life, but we have to be prepared for those things. So we want to add more. You may need to add more organization into your routine. You may need to add you in your bathroom on your mirror. You may need to add you a encouragement wall right there on your mirror, where you put scriptures, quotes, words, pictures, whatever you need to pitch, you can start your own encouragement cycle, because those things are going to come up again. But when you have that truth staring you right back in your face, you have something to combat those false lies with. So that is where you want to begin. Maybe you need to remove some friends. They may not be the friends that need to be in your circle. These may not be the girls that are encouraging you. If you have friends that are constantly competing with you, that's not a healthy circle. We don't have to compete with one another. It's enough for everybody to do in the world to be good at something, because we're all good at something. So you need to have a friend circle that's going to encourage you, someone who's going to cheer you on, and someone you can also cheer them on and encourage them. So you need to remove some bad friends and get some good friends. Or maybe it's certain TV shows you don't need to watch because they don't bring good thoughts to your mind. Mm-hmm. Maybe it's certain places you may not need to go because it doesn't put you in a good mental space. So that takes some real work on you getting to know you, and where you don't need to be and where you don't need to go, that actually brings those things back up in you, those negative thoughts and things back up in your mind. So that's something to think about. So take some time to write down some things you need to remove and put on your list some things that you need to add.
So yes, most definitely, as Jennifer said, your friend circle, accepting your truths. And as I stated, keeping those inner gifts, like what thoughts can you take with you to keep, but also, even in the midst of the negative, revamp what those negative thoughts, like allow them, but restructure them till they're at a point to where you can say, this is what happened, but I can accept them as comfortable truth so I can move on with my life. So I can not only accept them, but I can change my experiences and make me feel more acceptable and forgiving in my own eyes. Because a lot of times we want to throw the negative away. It ain't necessarily saying we have to throw it away. We can keep it, but use our mind frame on that negative experience and allow us to restructure our thought process on this, where we can forgive us in our own eyes depending on what it was, but we can also use it to shape us, to make us a better person. Because everything negative doesn't mean we need to just necessarily tuck it and throw it away. Because a lot of times we tuck, we're just compacting the negative and we're not really seeing it for its whole truth. Mm-hmm. Yes, and as Jennifer said, like God is our us. When we come to thinking about things that we need to keep God first in all and everything that we do. God is our provider, our protector, and He's going to lead us in the midst of all. Adults and mentors, licensed therapists, like I said, when it comes to friend circles, keep people around you. It's like I said, as you're growing, you're going to lose people and you're going to gain people. Always put yourself in a place to where I can say, I can allow my circle to either diminish or to add. But at some point, just because I'm losing people doesn't mean this is a bad person. It just means sometimes they're not in the space to go where I'm at, or they're not in the space of where I'm at right now. So make sure that you're driving to for yourself and choosing an adequate circle for you, because nowadays, especially amongst women, amongst young girls, I don't need a lot of friends and everybody's snakes. Everybody ain't a snake. Everybody's not a bad person. You're just not choosing the right seeds to be next to you. And sometimes we got to realize we have women amongst us that are farther ahead in life for us. They might have better school tools than us. And that's totally okay, because the thing about it, if everybody on the same level as you, honestly, not saying that's a bad thing, but sometimes it's not the greatest thing, because there's no room for us to level each other up. Just like for me and Jennifer. Jennifer is a few years older than me, but it's not even about the age. Jennifer is this young lady. Jennifer is very wise. She's very smart, but I also look at her not only as a partner, but almost like a mentor as well, because this woman is very divine. And not only does she speak the knowledge of the word and live, but she lives by her own truth. Like, she is a walking example. So, yes. Do I feel intimidated by Jennifer? No, because I have my own truth. She has her own truth. But I still know that this woman, that we all can grow from each other. I have something that I can pour into her, and she has something we can pour into me. So our friendship is not just necessarily a friendship. There's something beneficial. And I mean beneficial, I mean there's something positive. There's nothing to compete. We don't have to compete with each other, because we know we're uniquely divine within ourselves, but we have something to add.
Absolutely.
So making sure that, like I said, when it comes to us growing, I know I see this, especially with young ladies. We get down on ourselves and we get upset because we're losing friends, and we're having this constant issue with friends. Like, it's okay. Like, it's totally normal to have camaraderie amongst your friendships, but just know that even in the midst of those friendships, It's okay to have disagreements. It's okay for us. I have friends I've been friends with since high school, since middle school, and we have our disputes. And the next minute, I be like, "Girl, what you been up to? Did you see that show?" We can totally act like nothing happened, but we've addressed the issue. But we're strong enough to know that no friendship is perfect, and if we have to be okay to talk about the things that are necessary. But if there's some friends that are just it's negative energy, you're getting into stuff, you hit a little, oh, you doing this little thing, or oh, it's always some type of shade. There's different things. So friendships are healthy. Be willing to add friends, and it's okay to have multiple best friends. Like this stigma of oh, you got a new best friend, we can't be friends. My best friend got best friends, and my best friend know I got other best friends.
Yeah.
I have different experiences with these ladies, but they still all mean the same to me. But I'm not comparing or measuring either one of them.
Yeah.
So build your circle, most definitely, and keep
You allow
God first.
everybody room for growth.
Yes.
Absolutely. And that's important that we allow each other to grow, and that we encourage each other to grow. So no matter where life takes you, if you have a good, solid friendship, that friendship is going to be there and it's going to remain. So we talked about things you need to relinquish, things you need to let go, and things you need to start adding. And once you start adding these things to your mental process, you're building that foundation that you need to maintain. It takes work to maintain it. You have to daily go back to your good spiritual place where you're maintaining the work that you have done. So that's a constant reading for me, it's a constant reading of my scripture. It's my devotional time. It's my prayer time. What are you doing to maintain that foundation? It's a constant reaffirming the truth in my mind, so that when lies try to enter my mind, I have a truth to combat those lies. So that strong foundation that'll help us just withstand just the adversities that come against us. You're special, you're beautiful, you're strong, you're brave, you have purpose. You have a unique purpose that no one else can give this world. Only you can give that purpose, because God put that specific thing in you. So it's important that you allow God to develop that in you and to help you grow. And so we would love for you to join us. We would love to encourage one another. We would love to help you reach your goals. Once again, like we said, go to www.yougirlincorporated.org and just join. We would love to have you coming on the live Facebook page. If you need any additional information, we hope there's something we said that was valuable to you, that you could connect with, that could really help you in your journey.
Yes. So yes, as she said, and with that, maintaining those skills. I said one thing that I know is really probably really funny to y'all, but I said create your own navigation system. It's so easy for us to put out these cell phones. We can get navigation to go to Chick-fil-A. We can get navigation to see how long our Uber gonna be before they bring our food. But we have not created a navigation system for ourselves. And when I say navigation system, I mean a daily, constant system that you use when you get up off that floor. How is my day gonna go? How am I going to get myself through this? Create a daily routine. Some of the things that I put in there could create a daily routine. When you get up, the first thing that we tend to do is we gonna scroll social media. What's going on? What's going on? What's going on? And that's totally fine. If you want to get up and check your feed, you might. I know me. I'm all things funny. I love funny videos, things like that. So it's really great for me. But the first thing is I need to self-check in. So what I need to do, I might get up the first minute. I might roll over, take some deep breaths, think about the things I have going on. Even if I feel like I'm a tough challenge, like, oh, I got to do this today. So how I'm gonna mentally talk myself through that, taking those positive talks and talking about things. Having that mental moment with myself, getting up, taking a good stretch, getting my vitamins, doing everything. I almost have like this regular pattern. I get up, I go get my little vitamins, get me a little water. My sister, they say the first thing on a fresh stomach, drinking a fresh cup of water definitely helps lower your blood pressure. So different things like that to really help me navigate my day. And then I create a schedule so I already know what's going on. I have those positive thoughts and I allow myself to get clarity and understanding in the midst of those things early in the morning so I know what I'm going to have my days going. And then the biggest thing, when you create those routines, reinforce the appropriate behavior. I'm big on reinforcement. So if y'all don't know what reinforcement is, basically when you do something, you give yourself a reward for it. Simple as that. So as we're creating this routine, let's say if I have this whole schedule and let's say if you're in high school, I'm going to get the homeroom on time today. So, okay, if you know you're a habitual of a later person and habitual mean you do it consistently and on a regular basis, how you gonna correct that behavior? Well, I said I'm gonna get there on time, but okay, so what are you gonna do? Are you gonna change? Are you just gonna say you gonna sprint extra hard to class, or you gonna actively get up 20 minutes early and stop scrolling social media for 15 minutes when you can be getting ready, getting yourself taught, getting your breakfast, and getting out the door? So when you do those things, if you actively change your schedule and say, I got to home one more time and I was 5 minutes early, guess what? I get to buy my snack. I get to buy my favorite snack. I might go get me some Starbucks today out of my allowance. I'm gonna go use $5 and get me a caramel frappe from Starbucks and McDonald's because that's what I really love, those type of coffees. Reinforce your behavior. It's so important that we're doing things, but we're really not even rewarding ourselves. It's like, well, I'm supposed to do that. Of course, you're supposed to do that, but it's still okay to reinforce and create those routines because when you do those things, you're self-motivating yourself. As Jennifer said, we don't need we don't need nobody else but self-validation within ourselves. So within ourselves, we're reinforcing those appropriate behaviors. What did you get out of that? Maybe not only did you reinforce, but your teacher's like, girl, you on time today? You all right with me? And just hearing your teacher and getting it, sometimes what we really fail to realize, just hearing those positive comments, it can shape somebody's day, especially with you being teenagers and kids. What you hear from those, so that conversations you having within your adult mentors or teachers, a lot of times they don't say it, but it does affect us. So just hearing that, girl, you got on time today, even feel like she's being funny, just to hear that she's acknowledging and she's reinforcing you, giving you some positive work. It might not have been some tangible, oh girl, when you get to lead class or you get some candy, but to get that self-knowledge that somebody said, I see you changing your behavior and I appreciate it. Thank you. Reinforce your behavior. You've got to maintain. But when you do it at a consistent basis, change it. Don't always reinforce yourself the first time, because a lot of times when we do it every time, we're not going to do it consistent. When we start changing, well, I need to be in class homeroom 5 days out of the week versus 1 day out of the week, because a lot of times we do it once and you're spending so much. It ain't just necessarily about spending the money, but we don't do it consistently. If we can only do something because we reinforce it every time, then we're not truly doing it. We're doing it only contingent on what we're getting out of it. But if we naturally want to do it because I need to do this in order to create healthy routines and to keep me from getting suspended or my mama having to come up here out for a work day because I can't get to class on time. So then we start changing. Once we start doing it consistent, we start changing it. Okay, I did it once today on Monday, but then I need to do it at least 3 days and then get to the point where I'm able to do it all the time, even without me getting Starbucks this week. Because guess what? It's self-rewarding because you're doing something that naturally you should be doing within your routine anyway.
Absolutely. So we hope we said something that will really encourage you again. Those are some very good points that we shared, and hopefully you will be able to use this to help you build that foundation that you need to build to help you be the best version of yourselves. Again, go to our website if you'd like to join, www.yougirlincorporated.org. But until next time, we look forward to seeing you again here on our next session. So you can also find a list of our sessions also on our website as well. So, all right, Jess, anything else you want to add?
Until next time, ladies.
All right, y'all have a good rest of your evening.
See ya.